We're back. Hello. Welcome to WTF Stories and Advice.
I'm Angelina Gray. If you're searching online, that's Angie on the radio on all the handles.
And I'm Caroline Cranshaw. And if you look up me, I think I'm pretty much the only one in the world.
I think you are, actually.
Yeah.
That's amazing. There are lots of Angelina Grays.
There's lots of everyone. That's why I'm never changing my name again.
Great plan. Again.
Changed it with my first marriage. Now my new partner wants me to change my name. And I'm like, no, because there's only one Caroline Cranshaw and I cannot. And it's bad numerology. And I think of every reason why I can't do it.
That's genius. I was toying with the idea of do I change mine? But I think I liked the way my new last name sounded better than my old one. So otherwise I would have kept it.
My maiden name was Grey Bill.
Really?
Yeah. Which is a weird. So Grey Bill, Caroline Grey Bill. Sound like I'm down on the plantation.
Sounds very southern. I love it.
Yeah. Well, this is WTF Stories and Advice, and we tell random stories and give you somewhat
interesting advice.
Questionable, but we like to think very good advice.
Tell you what, the best storyteller that I know, you've got the best stories around. It's like every week, what's next on the list?
And as we were prepping for this, I was like, have I told you this one? Have I told you that one? But not telling her any details.
My eyes are wide going, no, what is it? What is it?
So how has your week been?
Good. I was doing lots of interviewing things with bands. So there was a great band that you may have heard of called Foals. Some may have heard of.
No, never heard of it.
Played a couple of shows in Auckland. Their first show I saw was like top 5 gigs of all time.
Really?
So this time round, totally the same. Amazing. And I went backstage and did some interviews. So
nice. Where are they from?
They're from Oxford in the UK.
Oh.
So amazing live.
Oh, that's cool.
It's been my week.
Yeah.
Mostly.
Anything else exciting?
Nothing exciting. No. Not so much exciting, actually. Some pretty full-on stuff happened on the weekend. Had a very close person to me jump off a cliff, which is never... Well, I know a lot of people who have tried and who have committed suicide, but nothing that serious.
Are they okay?
Weirdly enough, the cop said, amazed, that her neck should have been broken. You know.
Wow.
Bones should have been broken, but no, she was scratched to pieces, but she's amazingly okay.
Wow.
But it's that frightening thing of, I guess, learning how to handle that and what to do. Because I know that because she had so much adrenaline running through her, afterwards she ran back up to the top, I think, to do it again. But that's when the cops intercepted, luckily.
Wow.
So she had somebody looking out for her, all right. So, yeah, now it's kind of the going through talks and processes of where to go, what to do. Because it's so hard with government assistance as well, or even going to hospital because, I mean, she's just released. And we're going, what do we do now? Who do we contact to make sure it doesn't happen again? And how do you get her on lockdown? And
I went through this process a few months ago, like 6 months ago, with a close friend of mine who tried on multiple occasions. And the first time she texted me after she overdosed on pills and said she was very disappointed they hadn't worked. And so I went, oh, okay. And I called her. And I said, so how many pills did you take? And she tells me, and it was a unbelievable amount. And I said, okay, I'm going to come over. Can you make sure the door's unlocked so I can get in? And she said, yeah. And luckily she lives not that far away.
Yeah.
Like 5 minutes away. So I immediately called emergency services.
Yeah.
And said, my friend has tried to commit suicide. Meet you there. And so I get there and the cops literally arrived at the same time. And so we both went in and had to take her to the hospital and did this whole process. And they had to kind of detox her and we get her therapy. And she seemed like she was doing better. And then she tried to do it again.
Okay.
And a few months later, basically her, I don't want to go into too many details in case anyone hears this.
Yeah, that's the tricky thing.
She was going through a tough time. I get another phone call from a good friend who's good friends with her saying she's tried it again, go to the house. And I'm like, oh my God. And I'm just about to like start my day full of clients. And I know this is an all day process. So I jump in the car and run and, call the police on the way. And again, we go through the same thing. And then this time she is refusing to go in the ambulance and saying she's not going to go to hospital because she had an important event on that night that she was supposed to speak at. So she was pretty convinced that she was still going to speak at this event while she had taken a shit ton of pills.
Right.
And so we're trying to reason with her and it wasn't happening. And then she tried to run away. And so then the cops chased her and tackled her down the road. And she had to go to hospital in the back of a cop car while handcuffed.
That is crazy.
And they released her from the hospital on the second suicide attempt within maybe 2 hours.
And what are you supposed to do when that happens?
Oh, yeah. Well, you go home, get some support, see a therapist. And I knew her psychiatrist as well because he's someone I consult with. And so I called him up and said, what the hell? Like when she basically was taken away. And he said, oh, well, I'm really sorry to hear that. But yeah, she won't be kept in. And I'm like, what do you mean? Because I'm thinking you need to be kept in, like at this point, right? You're a risk to yourself or whatever.
Big time.
And he was like, oh, no, I know how the system works and she'll definitely be released right away. And it was just like, oh, my God. And thank God she has come right. And she's absolutely fine now and really happy. And it's all worked out.
So in the end, what happened? So did she have to go and get more counselling sessions? Was she on constant surveillance from friends? And
I mean, yeah, we definitely were doing some surveillance. We made sure. But it was almost something that she had to kind of work through herself. And it's like it got to the point where it's like, we love you. If you want to do this, we can't stop you. We can't force you to be here, but just know that you will get through this. Because I think that's the thing is I think we all go through these rough times in life and we get overwhelmed by it. And it's totally normal to feel like you don't want to be here. It's actually, that is a normal feeling that most people experience at some time in their life, but it's just knowing that this is a temporary thing, that it's not going to last forever.
Yeah, it's the ebb and flow that,
Yeah.
So I think with my case, quite a young teenager. And I know that obviously with teenagers, everything is so overwhelming.
Yeah.
It's the state of the world and everything and the hormones flooding. So it's a case of how can you don't have the life experience to realize that things are going to get better, so it's
It's a hard one.
The really cool thing is then obviously Mike King has been New Zealander of the year and all his stuff has been all over the media recently, and I looked up his website for those of you in New Zealand especially, and that's incredible, all the stuff that he's doing. Like it's got the number there to text, which I should have to hand actually. If you text a number, somebody will contact you within moments, 24/7, with a counsellor on the end, and it's free.
I saw this last night, and I actually took a photo of the screenshot because I was going to share it. So the number is 1737. So that's in New Zealand. If you text 1737, so 1737, you immediately will have someone text you back and give you support.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's also interim counselling because obviously it takes a while to get counsellors sorted through the government if you're going in the public system. There are, I think that's called like gumboot counselling, basically. So you go and find a list through their counsellors that they've suggested. You go and research them and send them a message and say, hey, I'd like to book an appointment and apply for gumboot counselling, essentially.
But I think about the States, like where I'm from, where if you don't have medical insurance, you're screwed. It's very hard to get counseling services. So it's, what do you do?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing.
And I think my advice is talk to people, reach out to people, but also find, if you can, hypnotherapy type of stuff, because obviously I'm a hypnotherapist and I'm a big advocate, because I think that you've got to change things in that subconscious mind. You can't just talk about things over and over because it's not really going to change.
Because I remember you telling me how many more times effective is it than a counselling session, like a therapy session with hypnotherapy? Is it?
Yeah, there's some study they did where they found they rated like the effectiveness, right? So it was like, if you had 600 sessions of psychotherapy, you had something like a 38% improvement. If you had, I think it was 30 sessions of maybe CBT, I could be totally wrong about this, but cognitive behavior therapy, it was something like a 68% improvement. And with hypnotherapy, it was 6 sessions and a 96% improvement.
Yeah.
30 sessions seems like a long time. And I personally I did 20 sessions of CBT, cognitive behavior therapy, and I knew why I was screwed up and I knew what thoughts I shouldn't be thinking, but I still was screwed up. Yeah. It wasn't really until I got into hypnotherapy that it was like I started changing my behavior and really kind of reprogramming stuff. So, because it's like your operating system gets glitchy. But I think the thing is when you're suicidal, it's important to reach out. Just reach out to people. And know it'll pass.
That's the thing, knowing it will pass. So we're actually doing something on our radio station in a couple of weeks' time, which now has hit home so much more. And we're doing a no talk day. So no ads, no talking, no announcers, news, anything. So people can talk. So basically we're stopping talking so you can talk to somebody. Just putting it out there.
It's an interesting concept. So you guys won't talk, they can talk? But they're not going to talk on air.
No, it's just, hey, we'll shut up. Essentially, I guess, holding space, but playing music at the same time.
Well, you need something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's an interesting concept. I thought of a story that I haven't told.
I love the look on your face when you say that. What is it?
That was quite life-changing for me. Mm-hmm. And when I was 19, I had gone on a date with a guy, and I had drank a little too much. And I was really a bit of a mess. I had dropped out of uni. I didn't know what I was doing with my life. I was drinking too much and doing lots of other drugs as well. I was drinking and driving. I was just an idiot, basically. And so I'd gone on this date with this guy. He got really handsy and I didn't like him. And so I drove off drunk. And I look at and it's probably 2 a.m. And this was in Marin County in California. So that's just right over the Golden Gate Bridge. Yeah. And I'm almost out of petrol or gas. And I'm like, oh, crap, I've got to get gas. So there's this little, and lo and behold, there's one just right up ahead. And it's kind of like, it's not big city. It's kind of more suburban. Okay. And it's just this little gas station. And there's nothing else around. So I pull in, I fill up my tank. I walk in and I'm like, oh, what else do I want? I want a pack of cigarettes and I want a Snapple, which is like a drink you can get over there. And I think I got like some candy or a bag of chips or, I'm like putting all this stuff on the thing. And I pull out my card and he's like, oh, no, it's down. You only have cash. We only take cash. And I'm like, well, I don't have any cash. And he's like, you're drunk. And I was like, no, I'm not. And he was like, you're drunk. I'm calling the police. And I'm like, please don't call the police. And I'm like, shit, I am going to get a DUI. I am screwed. And so I think I started crying. And this woman walks in. This woman that literally like appears out of nowhere. And she's African-American. She is beautiful, like strikingly beautiful. She's dressed in all white. She's wearing like white jeans and kind of like a white tank top. And she's stunning. And she's got beautiful jewelry on. And so she walks in and she's like, do you need help? And I said, yes. Yes, I do. I know, it's my money. And he said, I'm drunk. And she's like, you sound drunk. And I was like, hey, I am, but I had to get away from this guy. And this guy's like standing there, and he's literally like so shocked by this. He's standing there with the phone in his hand. And she's like, well, I'll pay for it. Don't worry about it. And she paid for all of it. My cigarettes, my bag of chips, my gas, which I had filled up a full tank.
Yeah.
And she's paying it. And the guy's standing there, and he's like, and he still like has a phone in his hand, and he's got his mouth hanging open. And I was so shocked and so grateful. I just remember this. I leaned over and I kissed her on the neck. This sounds weird. But I was so like, oh my God, you've just saved my life, right?
Big time.
It was just bizarre. She bought nothing for herself. It was so weird. I don't know.
She just happened to appear.
She just walked in. I mean, we're talking like 2 a.m, if not later, in a kind of a suburbanish thing. Like, I didn't see a car. So she walks me in my car and she said, girl, you need to straighten up. The universe has big plans for you and you better get your shit together because we're just done with you fucking around. And I was like, okay. And she said, stop doing your bullshit. And she like literally tells me off, get your shit together. Go back to school. Stop this. Okay, you hear me? And I was like, yes, I'm sorry. And I'm just like, who are you? And she's like, doesn't matter who I am. get your shit together. That's it. This is your get out of free jail card. Goodbye. And she walks off, and I'm like, and I stood there and I was shaking, like sitting in the car going, holy fuck. And then I'm like, I better get out of here because this guy's going to call the cops on me.
Zoom.
Yeah. And I look around because I'm like, I'll give her a ride, or like, where did she go? Did not see her. Did not see her.
That is...
It was the weirdest
unreal.
shit. And I swear to God, I was stone cold sober in that moment. And I drove home going, holy shit, holy shit, holy shit, holy shit. What was that? What was that? Was she real? She was definitely like, I kissed her neck, which is really not a thing I would do. Like just random women's necks. But I was so grateful to her. And it was just bizarre that, yeah, I don't think I've told this story on the podcast.
No.
I don't tell
I'm sitting here with my mouth open going, again... She blows my mind.
It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Yeah, and I still to this day go, who the fuck was she?
I love the fact she was all dressed in white, though.
She was stunning.
Yeah.
She looked kind of like Amon, but...
okay, yeah.
Like, but short hair. Like, she was... But just flawlessly put together, everything. And yeah, and just...
And what kind of woman like that would just hang around randomly at 2 a.m. at a gas station without a car... waiting for someone
but she didn't
on
buy
distress.
anything.
No.
So maybe, okay, so my rational mind goes, maybe she drove by, saw this, maybe thought I was in trouble. I know it just doesn't even sound realistic when you kind of think about
But then
it.
where did she go afterwards?
Or, yeah, and then she had a car, and so she, like, went into her car, and I didn't see her or realize, or, you know, her car was parked somewhere I didn't see. Yeah. Or someone else was driving and she drove off. I don't know. I don't want to be like, she was an angel who saved me. But that's what it felt like.
Yeah.
But I went, you know what? Next day, I was like, okay, you are being a mess. She's right. You need to get your shit together, girl. And so I went back and I enrolled back in university and I started studying psychology, and it took me a little time to get there. I ended up going to beauty school at the same time because I thought, you know, logical choice. But I thought then I could actually, because I knew if I wanted to become a psychologist, it was going to be a long road, right? And so I thought if I go to beauty school, then I can kind of support myself while I'm studying.
Genius idea, actually.
So, yeah, because you can make really good money in the States doing it. And I did make great money doing beauty therapy and ended up dropping out of school again, which I ended up finishing later. But anyways, it was, yeah, but I never drink and drive again. That was the last time in my life that I've done that.
Yeah.
I just stopped being an asshole, basically.
That's almost like your sliding doors moment, though, because if that hadn't have happened, maybe you might be somewhere else. Or doing something else.
Well, I would have spent that night in jail. I'm positive of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was bizarre, but interesting. And just that moment of kindness, but also telling me off. Like, get your shit together. But it was interesting, we have big plans for you, or the universe has plans for you, and you better, like...
That's what I love.
Yeah. And I was just like, all right. Yeah. And I remember just shaking, going, yes, ma'am. You know, it was bizarre. But anyways... I remember telling my friends this the next day, and they were like, whatever. Like, they did not believe me. And then they were like, obviously you didn't see her car. And I'm like, and maybe that's the case. And maybe she was just this incredibly kind woman that saved me in that moment. But I know for me, like, I'd probably bail someone out in that situation, but I wouldn't be buying them cigarettes and a drink and a bag of chips. I'd be like, put that shit back, honey.
I'll pay for your petrol.
But she paid for everything. It was amazing. Anyways.
And would you just dish out that kind of life advice too?
Yeah, well, yeah, I'd probably say shit like that. Like, get your shit together. Yeah, I definitely would
Sort
probably do
it out,
that.
mate, as would say in New Zealand.
Yeah, but it was interesting, and it really did make me change my life and go, right, you got to pull your crap together. And yeah, and I think for me, it's kind of made me pay it forward when I see people in trouble, or, you know, I've paid for people. I've told people off in the same way. That's probably, I don't know, like not quite in the same way. Yeah, but it was... I think we all are angels for each other, and we all need to look out for each other, and also call people on their shit when you need to, and not in a nasty way. She didn't do it in a nasty way. It was more like, girl, I'm gonna whip your ass if you don't get it together. You know.
Maybe she was having her pay it forward moment. You know.
Could be.
You never know.
It could be, but yeah, whoever you are, thank you. That was amazing.
And look where we are now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had two. Well, obviously not like that. Haven't been bailed out or had anything paid for.
Didn't pay for your cigarettes?
I've had two moments where it's been really odd. I've been in a certain situation where I've needed to hear something. And I've had two men come up at different times in my life to pass on a message. And they looked different, but their eyes were both really so blue, like crystally, like they look like gemstones almost. So one was just around here in a place called Karaka Bay. I was going through an awful breakup at the time and trying to rebuild myself. And I was reading an Eckhart Tolle book. I think it was The Power of Now or something. I don't think anyone could see the book cover.
Yeah.
I was lying there in the sun reading it, kind of by the sea, feeling a little healed. And then I got up to leave, and this man, and he would have been in his 60s, I reckon, quite a, sort of tan, silvery guy wearing his speedos. He was obviously off for a swim with his wife.
Was he American?
I can't remember. Potentially. Oh, no, don't tell me that you know him, because if you do, this would be freaky. He came up to me.
Yeah.
He came up to me, and the first thing I noticed was his eyes, just really sparkly, and he said, and I could see his wife sort of standing by going... Was
she blonde?
I can't remember. This was about...
I can find a photo of the guy who I'm thinking
of. Less than 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And I could see she was sort of standing by going, oh, here we go again. Okay, patiently waiting. And he comes up and he says, I've got a message. Can I pass on this message to you? Because I've been told I need to pass something on to you.
Yeah.
And I said, okay. And he said, don't worry. You are going to have a really happy life. It's going to be really happy and a lot. And then he goes, oh, and it's going to be long. So you're going to have a long, really happy life. And you need to hear that right now. And God, I did. I just walked off going, oh my God, bawling my eyes out. Made me feel so much better.
Okay, hang on. I've got a photo.
I wonder if I'll remember it. I just remember the eyes. He was quite tanned.
That's not a great photo of him. Here's a picture of him and his wife. All right, hang on.
I need to know the background of this person that you think you know it is. Could have been, actually. Could have been. It's definitely not a no. Who is that guy? That's the same age.
He lives there. His name is Jeffrey Mason, and I first heard about him when I was studying hypnotherapy.
Okay.
It's got to be him.
Yeah, I think it might be. Oh my God, this is too weird.
Okay. Yeah, his name is Jeffrey Mason, and when I was studying hypnotherapy, one of the books that we had to read as part of our training is a book by him called Against Therapy, which I'm sure I have right here. Hang on, let me see. Here's the book. So I read this.
Yeah, I reckon it was potentially him.
It'll be him.
Yeah, okay.
So I read this book, and he's a really interesting character. His parents were like very spiritual, and they had a guru. And the guru chose him as going to be his successor, right? And so he was raised to believe that he was going to be the next spiritual guru of this. Yeah, there's a book called My Father's Guru by him.
Right.
So anyways, he was raised to believe this, but then he kind of, as he got older, went, nah, load of crap. I'm not this, successor of this guru. So he kind of dismissed it, and he then became a psychoanalyst, and he was a Freudian psychoanalyst, and he was so high up as a Freudian psychoanalyst that this is fucking weird, isn't it?
This is you can see my face is just going.
This is weird. We always have these moments.
I know.
So
that's frightening.
Yeah, because it's funny, like, after I finished my last story, you said, oh, I've got this story about this guy. And I said, don't tell it to me now. Tell it to me. Let's record it. Yeah, because I had a feeling it would be good.
Yeah.
He dismissed that. He became a Freudian analyst, and he became the head of the Freudian archives, right? And he's written all these books about psychoanalysts, but then he became like a vegan. And so he's a big advocate for veganism and protecting animals.
Okay.
And anyways, how I came to know him was... my ex-husband, when we split up, he moved down to Karaka Bay. When Karaka Bay is just this little beautiful bay just around the corner from here that you have to walk down this windy little road, and there's these gorgeous little houses right on the water.
It'd be amazing to live there, but it'd be a pain in the ass, right?
It's a pain in the ass.
You can't get your car done for any groceries or anything.
So you got to do a hike up a hill or down a steep hill in the rain or whatever it is if you live down there. But it is beautiful. So they live down there. And so he's American, right?
Okay.
And his wife is German, but trained in the States as a pediatrician. And she's amazing. Her name is Lila Mason. She is an amazing, like, natural pediatrician and helps people with, like, autism. And she is just the most beautiful person you could ever meet, like, honestly.
Yeah.
And he is highly intelligent, but, yeah. So anyways, my ex-husband became friends with them. and would hang out with them. And so one time I was down there and he came over and we started arguing about, of course, leave it to me to start arguing with someone, because he was like, oh, if you're a therapist, you probably believe in electroshock therapy and because he kind of has gone really anti-therapy.
Right.
Written a book against therapy.
Against therapy in my hands.
So we kind of had a debate and we started to like write each other emails debating different topics. It was quite funny.
Wow.
And I used to cut his hair, right? Because I used to be a hairdresser.
So, oh my God.
I would cut his hair as well. And he's a real character. And they've moved to Sydney, or they moved to Spain for a while and then they've moved to Sydney. But they're an amazing couple.
So does he get messages, or, that's what I want to know.
He was raised to believe he was the like next Jesus, basically. Yeah. So yeah, he's definitely.
He asked, I think, he said, can I pass this message on to you? I've just received it. And his wife was looking as though, oh, he does this all the time, but like a little bit demure in the background.
And he wears his speedos.
He was wearing speedos. Yeah. And I remember thinking, what are his eyes that crazy, amazing blue color? Do you remember that?
I can't remember. I remember thinking, I know hers are very blue. I'm trying to think if his are brown or his, I don't know.
Because it was definitely because the reason I noted that was because I'd been to Europe. I was in the not in the Sistine Chapel, in the Vatican, basically.
Yeah.
What is it, St. Peter's? And I had this crazy old man that looked a little bit like a gargoyle come up to me and start speaking in Italian.
Yeah.
But the reason I didn't actually run back and go, oh my God, was because he had those eyes, like these most amazingly blue eyes. And he was speaking to me in Italian. I said, I think I remember the phrase for don't speak Italian. Then he started speaking in Spanish. I said, no. And he said, well, you look Italian or Spanish. I went, not. Blonde, like, head, what? And then he started speaking in English and explained this really, I can't remember it now. Wish I did. Beautiful story about the altar that I was looking at, but it was like a message he was passing on from the angels or something. So it was something quite similar, but their eyes were both exactly the same. And I'll not forget those.
I wonder if it was him, though, because he lived down there at that beach, and he was very friendly, or is very friendly, and he will talk to anyone. And he's a very kind of open person, and he just says whatever he thinks.
Right.
So he'd be the type that would see that you probably needed a message like that. Okay. And it wouldn't be necessarily that he believed the angels were talking to him or something, but he'd be like, that girl needs a message, and so I'm going to go give it to her. She needs to know that it's all going to be okay. Yeah, because he's I think
he said something like he was receiving this or he was passing on. So it was definitely like he was passing on something.
Spiritual.
But hey.
Jeffrey.
But it was a moment that made my hair, like on my arms.
Yeah.
It was like, whoa, that I just had a moment. Whoa. So,
his name is Jeffrey Mustafa Mason. And his book, My Father's Guru, is amazing. I mean, he's written tons of best-selling books. He's been on Oprah. He sued the New York Times for libel, or was it the New Yorker? I think he lost for that one.
Because he's quite, he probably was a good-looking guy in his time.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what
he still was a good-looking guy.
That's kind of what I thought, even though he was older. Well, I wasn't going,
Fox. Yeah.
But it was more, this is an older guy that was probably a bit of a babe in his time. So,
his wife is 25 years younger than him. Yeah. And but he's amazing. Yeah. So anyways, I wonder, isn't that weird?
Oh, man. See, there's a reason why I come here and talk to you about
I know,
stuff.
isn't that weird? I know when you start talking about it, I'm like, I know who you're talking about. I know exactly who you're talking about.
And his speedos.
Oh my God. That's funny. So I have been super busy with work, like crazy busy.
Yeah, trying to pin you down is tricky.
Oh, it's nuts. And what I've been doing is this virtual gastric band with hypnosis. Have you heard about this?
You teased it. Was it last week? Or last time? And I'm going, what? I don't understand.
It's a technique that hypnotherapists use. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because I poo-pooed this technique for a long time. I knew all about it. I knew what it involved. But I was like, basically you pretend that you're doing gastric band surgery on people. Okay. You take them through visualizing going into a hospital. They walk by, they see like someone who is obesely fat that just happens to look exactly like them, who's dying of obesity. Mm-hmm. And then you go, that's not going to happen to you. And then you take them through having gastric band surgery. And you literally like play a little recording, which I can play for you because I played it today, of like hospital noise.
Whoa.
Yeah. Like here it is.
So you're really in the zone.
Yeah. So you're like, you're on the table. You're aware of some noises in the background. You may feel something tight going across your stomach. Here, I'll turn this off. You take them through actually thinking that they've had gastric band surgery, and you just reaffirm 3 small meals a day, and you just do this whole process with them. Well, I had poo-pooed it for a long time, and then
why was that? Just
because I thought, just like gastric band surgery. Well, I'm not a fan of gastric band surgery personally because I've had lots of clients who've had complications. So if you're going to do anything, do gastric sleeve. That's my advice.
Okay.
I'm not anti-surgery, but I think that you need to address the underlying issues because I can't count how many people I've had who've had the gastric band or some type of weight loss surgery and they've gained all the weight back, and they may have lost weight initially, but then they're drinking ice cream and they're finding ways around it.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like, let's get to the root of it. But this guy he did some training with me, his name is Richard Kello. Hello, Richard. He's a great hypnotherapist, and he does like almost nothing but this technique, and he is booked solid. And something I always teach my students is to approach the media. Do whatever you can to get your name out there with media because the media is always looking for stories, and it's a way of promoting yourself, right? It's great way of getting your business started. So he's been very clever with that, and he's done that. And he also has had amazing results with his clients. Like they're losing 30 kilos, which is like over 60 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah. They did a big feature on him and this client of his who had lost tons of weight. And then Stuff picked it up, which is another kind of media company here. And then 7 Sharp, which is a TV show
wow,
here.
I didn't realize.
Did a special on it. And yeah, well, I think after the first one, he was like, with the first news story, he was just booked for months. And he's like, you need to do this. Like, you can help people with this. You can do it in your own way. Why the hell aren't you doing it? You're leaving, there's lots of people who'd come to you if you just said you did it. So I just like finished my certification with it, which it's not much to do once, because you're already trained, right?
Yeah.
And so I've been doing it, and it's crazy. It's crazy how many people are coming for this. I mean, I've done weight loss with hypnotherapy for years, and people get amazing results. I actually, if you want to listen to a weight loss hypnosis, I've got one on YouTube that, it's had like over 500,000 views or whatever.
Wow.
But yeah, if you want to listen to something like that, I was also thinking of like posting some hypnosis tracks that I've done in between on the podcast if people are interested.
Great idea.
If you're interested in that, like send us a message through, you can DM us through Instagram, or you can send us a message at WTF Stories and Advice at Gmail. But yeah, so it's really interesting. But the other thing that I've been doing, because it's like, I've been gaining weight lately because I'm so busy and I'm sitting here hypnotizing everyone else to lose weight.
Right, yeah.
But my partner has trained as a personal trainer and a nutritionist, and he's been kicking my ass lately, which is great. It's not so much. I'm like the worst client ever because I'm like, no, I don't want to do that.
What? So does he
poor
do
guy.
Does he do personal training with you and you're like, shut up.
I'm just a shit. So, but he's been doing this kind of online coaching that's amazing through this like nutrition software that basically gets you to change your habits, and it's really good.
Yeah.
And it's like, so he kind of coaches you online every day through this process and creating new habits, and there's like lots of different habits you need. Like you need to eat less, right? You need to drink more water, but it takes you through this process that's fantastic. So if you're interested in something like that, you can check him out. It's FitAF.
Great.
.nz, and it's Grant Bodle, and he's really good. I'll put a link in.
Yeah.
But that's been, because I've been like, whatever, changing your habits.
But they say that if you change your habits, that's 100 more times effective than a diet, basically.
Well, exactly. Exactly. And I mean, what am I doing? I'm helping people change their habits. Yeah, I think for me, it's not in the framework that I am used to, because it's more online and email, and I work more in person with people.
Yeah.
But it definitely works, and it's really good. So if you're interested in losing weight, check out the virtual gastric band, but also check out some online coaching around changing your habits, because that way you can kind of eat what you want, but just be sensible and actually not feel like you're always having to go on some crazy diet.
So if people want to, say, come to you for the gastric band stuff, you'd do that, but then you'd also talk them through reasons behind why.
Yeah, for me, I really want to get into the nitty gritty of it. Like one thing I always do with clients is create aversions to food. Because I know for me, I was addicted to sugar, right? Like I would try to stop eating sugar, and it was like going through withdrawals.
That's apparently the most addictive thing besides like nicotine and like cocaine, basically.
I think it's on par.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
So I keep saying basically. I'm a basic bitch that has to say basically. I need to stop it. So, and I say so.
Mine's totally.
Sugar, yeah. So I will do aversions to sugar. I'll say it's going to remind you of ground up glass, and you're going to imagine thrush or candida growing in your body. So you can imagine this like yeast growing inside of you, like cottage cheese. And I'll have people picture all the foods that they love that are triggers, and it's covered in mold, and there's flies laying eggs, and there's cockroaches and ants and sand blowing into it. And yeah, so for me, I want to hit it from every angle. And so if you're interested in something like this, talk to the hypnotherapist before and make sure they'll adjust it to you, that they won't, because some people will just literally follow the exact protocol. And I think everyone's different. You can't just do a cookie cutter recipe for people.
And obviously there are different reasons behind why people are emotionally eating or what have you, I guess.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is that weight is protection, and it can protect you from negative male attention. It can be, animals. They don't eat McDonald's in the wild. They just puff themselves up to make them look bigger, So how do we do that?
Yeah.
So and we are animals on a lot of levels. We're very primitive, and we haven't evolved that much over hundreds of thousands of years. I think it's important, if you've got issues with your weight, you need to really get in there and figure out why you're doing it. I know for me, it was like that's all I thought about was losing weight. And that's all I thought about was what diet and what exercise program I was going to go on. But I was sabotaging myself at every turn that I possibly could. And so once I realized what I was doing, and what I was doing was trying to keep myself safe from negative male attention, because I had had some bad experiences. And so some part of me was like, well, if I'm a bit fat, men aren't going to look at me. But unfortunately, that's not a good technique to have men not look at you. You can get to be the size of a house, and some guys going, yeah. You know what I mean? Doesn't matter.
Well, see, this is the thing. There are magazines about that kind of stuff, so.
Yeah, you can't. No, fat is not a way to get rid of men, because a lot of men are into it. Oh, so, yeah.
More cushion for the pushing.
I know.
Or something.
It is. I mean, I think women are beautiful at every size, and I think you should love and accept yourself. But if you're not comfortable with your weight, and if you're sabotaging it, look into other things like hypnotherapy, like virtual gastric banding, like online coaching that's going to change your habits, because you can change. You can. I'm evidence of that, because I have changed a lot.
Amazing.
Yeah. So I think that's us for today. I've rambled on enough.
That went on an unexpected journey for me. I'm not going to look up that fella.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
Sheesh.
This always happens to us, no matter what story you tell. I'm like, I know that. That was my house.
So the stalker that I've got gave this address. That was my house. What do you mean it was your house? I sold it to...
Oh, that was great. Yeah, if you want to listen to that one, listen to the episode with Angelina Gray with the stalker story. It's crazy, and there's a twist in it that we were connected, and it was just bizarre.
Nuts.
So thank you for listening.
Can't wait till next time till we discover what the next connection is going to be.
I know. I was going to tell a story that was really good, but I thought I'm going to draw it out. So if you have a story that you would like us to tell, you can email us, WTF Stories and Advice @gmail.com, or send us a message or a DM or whatever. We'll put ways of contacting us, and review and share this with your friends if it's something you like and you think they would like, because that's going to help us reach more people.
Yeah, so more people can find out about us.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks.
Bye. There goes a side for